So to what you were saying, Shane, like what we've all seen it, right? With the girl or the guy who breaks up with a girl and the behaviors that they were okay with, they understood, they justified, now become problematic because the relationship no longer exists. And it's not always that that's how it was actually happening, but now it's like that lens of heartbreak that's coloring the way they see that person. So, for example, right, most women want men to display certain leadership qualities, right? After the breakup, he was controlling. So, like, they put a spin on it so that they shine a negative light on that person. And now the word narcissist has become so clickbaity that it's just easier to say that they were narcissistic or a narcissist when the behaviors weren't exactly that, right? And that goes to the point of why it's so important that you keep reiterating we're not diagnosing anybody, because that's what people are doing. They were a narcissist. Well, you don't know the clinical definition or how to meet the criteria. You're just saying that because you see certain qualities in a different light. And I'm trying to tread lightly because that does happen to victims of narcissism where they weren't able to see it until they were able to escape. There is still that fine line of difference of you're intentionally painting that person with a negative light so that you can either get over the breakup or to damage the prospects of that person versus you're actually healing from the trauma of a relationship with a narcissist.
It looks like it's saying that some of the main characteristics are there's a need for admiration, um, a need for admiration by others, that there is a belief that that they're perfect, like they have already achieved perfection. Um, they are afraid or of fears or imperfections of flaws being revealed. Um, that they have, let's see, a change in personality related to the direct effect of a general medical condition. Nope, I read that wrong. Yeah, it just overall, it just seeing how it's trying to differentiate between other diagnoses that could be similar, is that there's just this big need for admiration from others, and basically a self view of that they are perfect and that there's nothing wrong, like there's no issues wrong with them, that everything that they do is they've achieved perfection, and if anybody else like says anything, it's really the other person, it's not them.
You think that the removal of competitive analysis created a generation of people like that? Meaning, by giving people participation trophies, everyone was awarded because everyone was right and everyone was perfect, and that would foster that belief. So it's more a nurture thing, where people became narcissists based off being nurtured or matriculating through school systems and being rewarded for things they not necessarily were good at.
I would say again, I think that's more egocentric, because typically I think where egocentrism, it starts in childhood. Like all kids go through that, where they think the world revolves around them. It's part of a normal developmental cycle. But as you get older, you begin to recognize that that's not the case. So I think that also happens as you get older. So in high school or when you're playing sports, everybody gets the trophy, but you come to a point where that stops. And so then you're able to make that adjustment and understand that the world doesn't revolve around you, that, oh, shoot, I'm not the best player. I'm not, like, you begin to recognize those things. I think when it goes beyond that, when you continue to think that what's clearly not true, but in your world, in your world it is, then I think that's when you start creeping over into narcissism.
So what if that is who, like, so like take LeBron. Will LeBron be a narcissist because he believed he the best in the world? Or he believed he was the best in the world prior to becoming the best in the world?
So No, right? Because that point about insecurity is really like the starting point of it. You develop this grandiose sense of self as a deflecting factor of that insecurity, where you feel like you're not enough, but if I can convince everybody around me, and that'll reinforce the fact that I'm the best, right? But it's rooted in that insecurity. I don't know that LeBron had that, right? With men like him, like Kobe and Michael Jordan, all of them, they were instilled with confidence that then was validated through their success. It didn't start off as an insecurity that had to be masked.
And on top of that, I think narcissist is not just one specific area. They think that they're perfect and like they know everything, like they're perfect in everything. So I think there's a difference between you being able to be great in, like, let's say basketball, but then you're doing something else. You do recognize that this is not an area of strength of mine here, and you're okay. Whereas a narcissist wouldn't be able to even differentiate between that.
But what about if they just great at everything? Then what?
I don't know one. This is just me. I don't know one person that's great at everything. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, or we'll say relative strength and weaknesses.
But
But
like
I
when they
don't think a
describe,
narcissist sees that. A narcissist, when you put them in a room, they're the smartest person in the room, no matter what room they're in.
I think a lot of people believe that, but I'm thinking of like Michael Jordan, right? They say his competition level, it was that everybody he ever met, he wanted to beat you in whatever it was, and he was determined. Like a lot of people would probably say he was the best basketball player alive, but the people that knew him would say he was the most competitive person alive. So it didn't matter what it was. His belief in himself was that he was far superior to everybody else, and it manifested itself in truth. And I know a couple people who, like, their greatness starts with delusion, and then it through hard work they can turn it into the thing that they're delusional about. But I kind of lean on the side that all greatness starts with things that people will tell you, because a lot of people are short-sighted or lack imagination and don't see like the prospect of something being that grand. So to people who look at it from that aspect, they'll be like, oh, he that's narcissistic, but or that person has grandiose, but really they just have a vision that they're trying to execute, like a Kanye or something.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan has spoken about his failures in playing baseball, right? Or his shortcomings when it comes to his family. A narcissist wouldn't be able to admit to those things. They
Mhm.
would blame that on other people and say that they did everything right and everything is a result of what other people
People
did.
did. Yep.
The traits, like I think that's where the differentiation comes in, because he definitely has narcissistic traits, and that's important for him to have reached the levels of success that he attained. But I'm not a clinician, but from what I do know, I wouldn't classify him as a narcissist because he has arenas where he can spot his own weaknesses.